Test audio, test audio. Let me test the audio louder a bit. Okay. Okay, go to Effects, 3D and Materials. So if you're using Adobe Illustrator 2022, the latest one, you have all this, including this new feature called Materials. But if you're using any version before, you have this 3D Classic. This is the old one. I'll show you what's the difference later lah. Okay, so now 3 methods to create 3D shapes in Illustrator. But of course, don't expect Illustrator to create very complicated or complex 3D objects lah. Okay, because Illustrator is not a 3D software. Okay, first one is extrude. Extrude is basically to add thickness. So let's say I have this. Okay, I create a solid, just a solid fill of this rectangle box, primitive shape. Let's start with basic primitive shape. Select this rectangle, go to Effects, 3D and Materials, Extrude. I want to add thickness to this 3D shape. Let me change back to white color. So you can see if I increase the depth, you have this cuboid. Okay, this 3D cuboid. Let me change to a different color, like this. So you can increase the depth, like this. And then at the bottom here, bevel. Bevel is basically the roundness of the corner. If you look at your table, you touch your table, the corner, the edge of the table, it is not 100% like sharp, like 90-degree angle one. It's not like this box here. This is 90-degree sharp. If you touch this, you will cut your hand because this is super sharp. So every object that we see will have bevel. So for those who are majoring in 3D animation, you will hear this a lot. So we need to add some bevel to make our object more realistic. So bevel shape, you can change to something round. Okay, make it round. And then you can increase and decrease the bevel. Make it more rounded. So that's what you can do with bevel. So it looks more realistic and not sharp like knife. Okay, and then if you scroll at bottom here, you can use the slider here to rotate the object. Or you can use the preset to place them in a specific angle, like isometric position, front view like this. And then if you take picture with any camera, there's always perspective. Okay, perspective is basically distortion. So if you have like distorted like this, that means you are using a fisheye lens. So let's add some perspective so that it looks more realistic. So add a little bit of perspective. So now I get this cuboid, this cube. Okay, next I want to change the material or the texture. So if you go to this material tab, by default they have a lot of all this texture that you can use, or you can start from scratch, which is the basic material. At the bottom you can see the material layers, the properties. I will show you later this one. At the bottom here, you can change the shininess of the object. Okay, let me apply one of the texture. Let's say I want to go with fabric. Okay, so I have this fabric texture. So all this texture here, you can the material, you can actually download more from the website, like Substance 3D Community Assets, or if you're using original version of Adobe, you can download even more from the website. But I'll just use whatever I have here. Okay, let's say this is a fabric box. And then this fabric, it looks too big already, the texture. I want it to be smaller. So you can repeat, okay, increase the repetition of the texture to make it smaller. That means it repeats more times lah. So it becomes smaller like this. And then you can play with all the texture, the settings here lah. Like you want to change the color of the fabric, you want to add the metal, the shininess, you want to change the shininess of the material. You can play a lot with all these settings here. Okay, and then let me change back the repetition to 100 first, because this one got, my Illustrator got this problem. I'll show you one later. Okay, now I have my own logo. This is my box. I want to select my logo here. So let's create my own logo and brand. Okay, this is my brand name. And then I have a very beautiful logo here. Group this together. So this is my logo lah. Okay, my product. So you can go to graphic. Over here you can see there are some presets here already one. So I want to insert my own logo into the presets graphic here. So just left click drag and instantly you'll see the graphic here. So select your object, left click, drag the object inside. If cannot, then just left click one time. Okay, so you can automatically see the graphic is inside already. It even blend nicely to the material. So you can just left click, drag to move them around, move it on top, increase the size, like this. But there's one problem with my version. I'm not sure about other version of Illustrator. Remember just now when I go to material, I can change the, okay, this fabric. Select back the fabric. Remember I want to make the fabric look smaller, am I right? So I increase the repetition. But in my version of Illustrator, the moment I increase the repetition, my texture chacha already one. So I'm not sure if this will happen to your version or not. So you can try it out. If not, then we have to wait for a new update for them to fix this problem. Okay, but by right it shouldn't happen one. So let's hope other version is fixed already lah. This problem no longer happen in the newer version. Okay, but now I'll leave it just like this. So let's say I'm happy with this already. Let's go to lighting. I want to set the lighting. So you can select, you want standard lighting, diffuse lighting, top left or top right. And then you can play around with the rotation of the lighting. You can see the lighting affects the logo also. I can even add shadow. Okay, right now my shadow is behind the object. I want the shadow to be below my object. And then I want to adjust the height of the shadow so that the shadow looks nicer. Okay, let's say this is what I want. Okay, I like this. Okay, I want the softness of the light a bit soft like this. Okay, all right, so this is for me, this is okay already. Okay, if you like how it looks like this, then go ahead, just select this object, file, you can export selection and export to PNG. If you export to PNG, that means this image is a raster image already. And if this document is A4 size, you cannot use this raster image and print it on A3 size, or else it will be pixelated. But if you want it to be more high quality, this is just a preview quality only. Look at the top right here. This is a render setting button. We need to render this out. So to render, just click on this. Okay, if you have graphic card, we can use ray tracing. Ray tracing is just a method of calculation and rendering to get it to look, for the renderer to work. Okay, you will learn this more in digital animation for those who are majoring in animation. Just take this if you can. Okay, you can set the quality to low, medium, or high. And then you can reduce the noise. If can, you take this. If not, then the shadow or the gradient will look very ugly one. So I'll just take this. If you want this to be a vector, just take this also. And then be careful. This is very heavy. So I will do a medium render first. Okay, when I render, I will be lagging for a while. Okay, I'll just click render. And then you can see before and after. This is before render. And I'll render for you and see what. Okay, so you see my image here render already. So if you look at the render, the lighting and everything, right, it looks a lot nicer. Even the shadow, everything looks very nice. But again, my Illustrator got problem one. This version got a lot of bug. So when I render with the reduced noise, this one, I will get this kind of weird lines. So by right, this shouldn't happen lah. Yeah, by right, this shouldn't happen. You will just get a clean image of that product. So you can try this out later. I will do a few more demo. Okay, you try it out first because this problem, all this, I'm not able to fix it because I need to update, only can get this problem fixed. Okay, let's delete this and move on to the next one. Okay, the next method to create 3D objects, revolve. So revolve is very good for creating cylinder object like bottle, glass. Okay, let's say I want to create a bottle, glass bottle. Let me find an image of a glass bottle. Oh, image. Okay, to create a 3D glass bottle, first just look for an image, Okay, and then all you have to do is draw half of the bottle. Like here, I will just close half of it, and then I will create a new layer. It won't take up the computer space, but the file size of the Illustrator will be bigger lah. But it will use up your graphic card memory or your CPU memory a little bit, but won't take up the space lah. It will make the file size bigger only. Okay, so for now, this bottle, I'll make it something like this. Yeah, I'll just roughly draw first lah. Okay, make sure that the bottom part, right, is aligned with the top part. The top part here, make sure that it's vertically aligned with the bottom part. That one is very important. Okay, let me search white, black color, outline. Okay, you just have to draw it like this. Because the way revolve work is, let me show you. Okay, when I click, select this line, and I select revolve. Okay, first thing you see, you get something like this. It looks very weird. But no worry, just change this left edge to right edge, and it will turn into a bottle. Okay, so this is how it works. When I create this line here, okay, this is my outline. When you add revolve, it basically will circle around. They use that line. It will rotate and fill in the space with the 3D object. Let me change the color first. Okay, you need to use stroke for this. Okay, let me redo again. Okay, this is your line. You just have to rotate like this. Make sure you select right edge because I want to rotate from the right side here. Okay, so the rest, same. Just set the material. You want it to be glossy. Then set metallic. And then you want logo. Just place it in your logo. Move it down. Change the size. If you want to adjust the shape of the bottle, you can straight adjust from the path here. The cap here. Okay, you can straight away adjust the size. You can create a vase, maybe a perfume bottle. And then if you want to create a glass, you just need to think out the box. What kind of line do you need to draw so that when it revolves around 360, it will create a glass with a hole in the middle. So for example, if you create a glass, then let's try lah. Okay, I want to create a very standard glass. Let me remove this object. Okay, let's say I create a line like this. If I revolve it around like this, okay, I get the glass shape, but how about the hole? I cannot get the hole. So you need to think outside of the box. Okay, let me turn off, delete this one first. So to get the hole of the glass, you need to imagine the shape of the glass. If the glass has a hole in the middle, then I know that, okay, I need to draw it like this. Create a hole for it. And then if I don't want it to be too deep, then like this. So if I revolve this shape, let me change to right angle. So you can see, if I rotate this like this, you will get a glass. like this. Okay, so it's totally up to imagination how you want to draw the line, and then you revolve it and then create a shape that you want. Okay, so this is revolve. You can even create things like mushroom. Okay, you can like straight away do live changes like this. Sometimes you want to round the corner, you can use this function. You know the round corner method that I show you guys? You can use it to round the corner as well. And then same thing, you can apply texture material, like let's say on this is like leather lah, okay, cowhide leather, but for some reason it looks like mushroom. Okay, you can do something like this. Okay, last one. Inflate. Inflate is used to create round object. Okay, if you want to change transparent, can change the color, right? Okay, Illustrator 3D object, there's no transparency, like, you know, like glass transparent, all this. But some of your classmates, what they do is, let's say they have a cover on top, the middle is a transparent glass, bottom is another cover. So what they did was they create three objects, and then the one in the center, they reduce the opacity. They make it white color, and then they reduce the opacity to create that transparent look lah. Okay, you can try to explore, but for glass object, all this, it will be a little bit tricky. Okay, and then let's say you transparent already, your highlight will be very soft. So what you can do is, you need to, again, use what you have learned, your knowledge. Imagine I have two shape like this. You want this to be like transparent, and this one is no transparent. I can set this to black color. I can capture the white color highlight. Okay, let's say the highlight is like this. Remember what you have learned? We can use blending mode, put them together. Use blending mode and then extract only the white color. Put the white color on top. Or just do it like your final assignment. Draw out the highlight, put on top. Okay, so with Illustrator, there are limitations with the 3D objects. Okay, last one is the inflate. Inflate is basically to create round object. Okay, let's say I have this circle shape. Wait, let me delete this first. Delete. Okay, I have this round shape like this. Okay, let me change some settings first. Okay, let's try inflate. When I click inflate, it will like inflate one of the side, become a round shape like this. You can inflate both sides, and then you can increase the depth to create capsule, like peel. You want to create a peel product, you can use this method. And then you can make it more shiny. Okay, you can do something like this. Or you can use outline. You can use outline, and then when you apply inflate, you can get a ring like this. Or let's make the outline thicker. Let's make a donut. Okay, this donut, make it smaller. Okay, inflate both sides, so you get this donut shape, something like this. Okay, or you can do something like this. I create 2 stroke and then 1 fill in the center like this. Okay, so I have 2 stroke, 1 stroke, 2 stroke, and 1 fill. I group all together, and if I inflate this, I'll get something like this. You can play with text, like 3D text. You can create 3D text also with all this. Okay, one more thing I want to show. What is it already? Round. Okay. Or let's say, what if I only want to inflate specific side? The center part, I don't want to inflate it. No problem, you can do that also. Use black color. Oops. Create new layer with black color. Let's say this part here. Create a black color shape like this. Put it like this. Group them together. So this black color, it will not inflate the object one. Okay. I group them together already. I select this. If I inflate this shape, you can see it will only inflate the part with the color. So I can increase this, decrease the volume. So now I can make this pill like Panadol. Okay, let's use isometric top view. Okay, to get rid of the black color, you have to apply a new texture. Let's just put this fabric texture, for example. Okay, and then you adjust the lighting, metallic. Okay, so this is what you can do. The good thing about isometric, this one, right, the position, when you rotate your object, isometric, that means it's a type of perspective look where all the object is like placed on a grid. Isometric. For those who play like those RPG, like those pixel RPG, like last time like Zelda, Pokemon, all those games are isometric, has isometric layout. They look something like this. So the thing about isometric layout is that the object, no matter where you put it, it will always look in perspective one. So if I put this up like this, you can see that it looks like as if it really stacking on top. If I put one at the side, so it will always look in perspective. That's isometric lah. For those who are majoring in multimedia, I think one of the signs you will learn about like isometric animation and all this. Okay, so feel free to play around. If you find it useful and you can use it for your final project, do your product mockup, then go ahead, you can use this. For those who don't have all this new version, no worries. The old version is just the same, except you don't have the materials on it. So let's try the same thing. Okay, I want to create a box. So create a rectangle, effects, 3D and materials. Okay, 3D classic is the old one. Okay, you can see the menu is different. Nice black color. Let me change the color first. Okay. Okay, you can change the depth, the extrusion. You can set bevel here. And then for texture, you need to select which side you want to apply the texture. So if you want to put material, right, you have to use texture only. There's no 3D texture, the one you saw just now, where the lighting will affect the texture. So this is purely texture. So if you want to have texture like cardboard, let's say cardboard texture for all sides, then you have to measure properly lor. Like this is how many cm, this is how many cm. You need to create out the texture, and then you need to save the texture inside of the symbol panel. For example, just now I already dragged my logo, so I just have to select that plane, which is this one, the surface, and then select graphic. So from here you can resize it and shade the artwork. Shade, that means if you have lighting, it will affect the logo as well. So if you want to set the lighting, you need to show more option, and then you adjust the lighting here. Okay, if you want to add texture, then go to window, symbols. You need to drag it inside here. Okay, let me repeat this part again. Okay, so to include your texture, you need to add in inside this symbols panel. So let's say on a cardboard texture. Cardboard texture. Okay, so I have this texture here. So just left click, drag inside. Okay, just name it cardboard. Okay, so when I go back into the 3D map art, okay, let's say I want to put the cardboard texture on top. So all you have to do is just apply the texture. And you can see that the image is way too big. That's why it's very important to scale it properly first before you add into the symbol panel. Okay, you can scale to fit everything nicely into the box, but be careful lah. If you have logo and all those, right, if you just scale to fit, it would distort the shape already one. So always scale it nicely first, the texture and everything, before you map the texture inside. Something like this. Okay, if you want to have a logo there, okay, let me create another surface. This should be longer. Oops. Wait, do not distort the image. Put this at the back. Okay, let's say something like this lah. Line center, line center, group them together, pull it in. Okay, now let's go back. Map art, let's go back to that layer. Okay, this one I'm going to replace with the logo together with the texture. Okay, and then meanwhile for the rest, I want to apply the cardboard texture also. So cardboard texture, cardboard texture. Texture. Okay, so now I can actually rotate my object using the settings here. Okay, the reason why it's so heavy now is because the texture that I bring it in just now is way too big already. That's why it takes a long time to render, even like I move it a little bit. So always optimize your texture. If you don't need it to be that big, then make it smaller before you throw it inside here. Okay, so you have something similar lor, just that some extra steps on it lah. Okay, so feel free to explore if you need to use it. I'm just doing an introduction just in case it might help you guys to do your product mockup. But if you want to explore more, you want to create very specific things for your product, let me know. Then I can give some hints like how to create specific looks, specific shapes and all. Okay. Okay, I'll stop the recording here.